All right, the White House now pushing back against criticism over President Biden's absence from weekly coronavirus phone calls with governors all across the country.
The intention was never for the weekly call, the COVID call that is led by our COVID coordinator, to be a part, for the president to be leading that call. That the intention was for our COVID coordinator to be providing an update directly from the president. I can assure you that the American public, governors hear quite a great deal from the president on his plans to get the pandemic under control.
But despite what she says, some state leaders, including our next guest, say that's not really enough and are calling to hear directly from the commander-in-chief. Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts joins us right now from Omaha. Hey, Governor, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you. So I think Vice President Kamala Harris has been on the phone call once during the administration. Joe Biden never has been. When the call was being made, the COVID call during the Trump administration, how often was Mike Pence or the president on the line?
So in the last administration, there were 40 weekly calls about the pandemic. Mike Pence chaired 39 of those, which means he was on the entire time, answering questions from governors, fielding those questions. Sometimes these would last a couple of hours long. And President Trump joined us for 8 of those phone calls, which is in stark contrast to this administration, where the calls last about 45 minutes. And Vice President Harris has been on once for about 5 minutes. She didn't take any questions.
Right.
And it really shows the difference in approach of the White House right now and how they really don't appreciate the work that the governors are doing right now in the states where we're on the front lines, and really shows a lack of leadership on the part of the White House.
Well, and I know you feel that this is not the bipartisan approach to the COVID call that the administration, the incoming administration, had promised you. But ultimately, are you getting the same kind of information in this call, which I believe is being kicked off every week by the president of the National Governors Association, Governor Andrew Cuomo?
Yeah, Governor Cuomo kicks it off, and we hear from the White House staff, and we certainly appreciate the fact that they're continuing to do the phone calls, and we appreciate the White House staff that is giving us updates. But there's a big difference between getting the updates from the administration and having the top people on the phone who can cut through the red tape and the bureaucracy, hear directly what's going on in the different parts of the country.
Right.
I do this regularly with superintendents, mayors, counties, health directors, municipal officials, so I get a feel for what's going on across my state, and that's part of how I help cut through the red tape and make decisions.
Sure.
And that's not happening with this White House.
Well, and in fact, I think it was just last week, you were, I think, driving around Omaha in your car. You were listening to the radio, and there's a news flash about COVID that they should have told you about, wasn't there?
Yeah, the whole decision to pause J&J, I heard about on the radio, and I guess the White House, I guess that's how they found out about it too, because apparently they didn't know about it. And again, this just shows that this administration is not doing a good job of communicating, even internally with themselves. If the CDC is making this announcement and not telling the White House or governors, if we're all caught by surprise, and it really needs to get fixed.
Sure, and because I know during the Trump administration, the president had said, because every state is different, you know, obviously Nebraska different than New York, the state governors would be essentially in charge of executing the COVID strategy. But this way, the way it's going right now, it's less control, right? I mean, they're just telling you, okay, this is what you're doing.
Well, and I'll give you an example that, you know, these emergencies are locally executed, state managed, and federally supported. And one of the things that we've been talking about is trying to get smaller vial doses from the administration, and they are going to bigger vial doses. Just one example that I think if the president or vice president would hear directly from governors, could hear that, you know, what is needed in New York is not necessarily needed in Nebraska and vice versa, they'd have a better feel for how to really make sure we're customizing this response to the entire country rather than just maybe one part of the country or trying a one-size-fit-all answer.
All right. Well, let's see after, you know, you guys have raised this concern. Let's see if the vice president and or the president start picking up the phone call at 11 o'clock every Tuesday morning. Governor Ricketts, thank you very much for joining us live today from Omaha.
Great. Thank you very much for having me on.